Hello and welcome to Clearview News Desk. We're reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. First, the headlines. Most Nollywood actors flaunting luxurious mansions and cars online are living fake lives, says Nollywood veteran Bimbo Manuel. Ecowas court dismisses Nigeria's preliminary objection to its jurisdiction to determine human rights violation case against Nigerian man on death row for 30 years. Pundits say pseudo-independence responsible for Nigeria's backwardness. I am Gloria Atta with these and more. Welcome. The Ecowas court has dismissed Nigeria's preliminary objection to the court's jurisdiction to determine a human rights violation case involving a Nigerian man on death row for 30 years. Delivering a ruling on Thursday in Abuja, Justice Edward Ashanti dismissed all the preliminary objections raised by Nigeria, challenging the court's jurisdiction to entertain the case involving Mr. Ogweri. The court held that it had jurisdiction over the matter, noting that the case raised allegations of human rights violations which fall under its purview according to Article 9, subsection 4 of the court's protocol. It also rejected Nigeria's submission that the case was statute barred. The court held that the 3-year time limitation in Article 9, subsection 3 of the court's protocol applied only to extra-contractual liability involving the ECOWAS community itself, not human rights claims against the member states. It further held that although it was not an appellate court to review national courts' decisions, the court had jurisdiction to determine whether the alleged ill treatment of Mr. Ogweri while in prison breached Nigeria's international obligations under the African Charter. The court, however, ruled that the two NGOs who filed the case, the Center for Peace and Conflict Management in Africa and the Rethink Africa Foundation, lacked the legal capacity to bring the case before it. It explained that the organizations failed to demonstrate sufficient connection or representative authority to file it. The court therefore struck them off the case, leaving Mr. Ogweri as the sole applicant. The ruling now paves the way for the court to proceed to the hearing of the substantive. In the last few days, Nigerians have continued to mourn the passing away of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, who died after a brief illness in Lagos on Tuesday. The tragic loss comes a little over 1 year after his appointment by President Bola Tinubu. The death of the army chief is particularly devastating as it continues a tragic trend, making him the third chief of army staff to pass away while in active service. Military leaders and government officials have expressed deep sorrow at the passing of the army chief, describing him as a dedicated officer who served his country with commitment and integrity. Meanwhile, official announcement for his burial arrangement is yet to be made by the army, as condolence messages continue to pour in from citizens and dignitaries alike. Clearview News Desk presents you a list of former Nigerian Army Chiefs of Staff that died in active service. Are flaunting luxurious mansions and cars online are living fake lives. According to him, no actor in Nigeria can buy a Range Rover from acting alone. Manuel made the claim while featuring in a recent television program. The 66-year-old said he does not care about living a flamboyant lifestyle because he likes a humble and realistic life. Now, it's been 64 years since Nigeria gained independence from the control of the British colonial masters, but many pundits and observers are of the opinion that the country is not yet independent in the true sense of the word, as its social, political, cultural and economic environment is still being controlled by the West. In a bid to rewrite the narrative, stakeholders at a one-day conference on Thursday in Abuja called for a complete overhaul of the country's structure to one where the African culture and lifestyle is embraced and applied in all sectors of governance. The report. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country with a population of over 200 million people. The country is blessed with an abundance of human and natural resources ranging from arable land, water, oil, natural gas, minerals, forests and wildlife, and has the potential of contributing meaningfully to the world order by securing global food, water and energy security. But despite its enormous potential, Nigeria has remained a passive player in the global order as it has failed to harness its God-given resources into a comparative advantage for global competitiveness. Over the years, pundits and observers have attributed the country's continued underdevelopment, unlike their Western counterparts, to colonial influence, which, according to them, is evident in her social, cultural, political and economic environment. At a one-day conference organized by the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development in partnership with Christian Aid Nigeria in Abuja, stakeholders emphasized the need to refocus and reprioritize Africa's agenda to enable Nigeria take her rightful position on the world map.
From the 19th to the mid-20th centuries, European powers divided Africa among themselves. At the Berlin Conference from 1844 to 45, 14 European powers met to partition Africa and divide it among themselves. The European powers exploited African natural resources and imposed foreign cultures and governance systems on the people. The development of Africa was obstructed and changed. The interest of the colonialists was the extraction of minerals and raw materials to benefit European industries. That pattern of production has continued till today. Decolonization and anti-racism are essential frameworks for redefining development work in Africa, addressing both historical injustice and contemporary inequalities rooted in colonial legacies and racial biases.
I used to have a theory that in those days, a fair-colored woman in a room stood out because all the other women were darker. And that was what made that fair-colored woman a little bit more attractive than the black woman. But today, ladies, please don't attack me. You look in a room and every woman is fair-colored. Real or fake, it doesn't really matter.
We need to have the courage, for the sake of posterity, for the sake of the future, we need to have the courage to tell our funders that the paradigm, the partnership paradigm has continued the colonialism, the legacy of colonialism. We need to have the courage to tell the people that, look, if you are really interested in the future development of Africa, we need to change the way we do things.
Earlier, Center LSD's Executive Director, Monday Osasa, said the conference became imperative given how deep the Western culture has eaten into all fragments of society.
The key recommendation is to really partner with government. For instance, National Orientation Agency, Ministry of Information is there, and the state ministries of information are there. These documents, they need to have it and see how they can integrate, make the content into a manual that will be studied in schools. That is one. And then it's for government to throw its political will behind it. Because even if you integrate it, or you have a plan to integrate it into the curriculum, and government do not support it, it will go nowhere. So government need to come in. That partnership between civil society and government need to be, alive for all of these things to really penetrate.
The conference, with the theme Decolonization and Anti-Racism in Social Work Practice in Nigeria, also featured presentation of spoken word, panel discussions and dance presentations. If you are just joining us, you're watching the news on Clearview News Desk. We will be back after this break. Stay with us.
We still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened. We need help. Right? Yeah, we need help. It's all right to say it. Now, they'll criticize me for that. How dare he say that? How dare he say that? No, I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it. Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." He said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." He said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ."
We break the news.
This is Christ Embassy.
Recollect, we were the first to break this.
Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of Kano State has approved the appointment of 3 second-class emirs.
And this?
Erasmus is the most successful program of the European Union to support education and youth.
And this?
Fubara is not an ungrateful person.
And more.
Tension is currently mounting in Rivers State. The planned arraignment of Yaya Bello.
Across our platforms. Subscribe now and you will be receiving our notifications and never left out as the news breaks on Clearview.
Welcome back. And to sports, Galatasaray has said its 3-2 victory over Tottenham in the UEFA Europa League wasn't just a win for the club, but a statement for Turkish football. Tonight, we didn't just play for Galatasaray, we played for Turkish football, declared head coach Okan Buruk in a late Thursday statement on the club's website. We showed exactly what a Turkish team can do to a Premier League side. It's time we do our talking on the field, not off it. Osimhen's 2 goals in 31st and 39th minutes were a masterclass in precision and power, capping off a relentless first half that saw the Lions take a commanding lead. Buruk also praised Osimhen's work rate and clinical finishing, noting he gave everything despite being tired and it paid off spectacularly. We could have scored 7 or 8 goals if we had converted all our chances. And that's the news. But before we go, a recap of the top stories. Nollywood veteran Bimbo Manuel has said that most of his colleagues who are flaunting luxurious mansions and cars online are living fake lives. The Ecowas court has dismissed Nigeria's preliminary objection to the court's jurisdiction to determine a human rights violation case involving a Nigerian man on death row for 30 years. 64 years after independence, pundits have said that Nigeria is not yet independent in the true sense of the word. You can follow up on latest events and happenings around you via our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at Clearview News Desk or via our handle on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Clearview Online. Many thanks for joining us. I am Gloria Atta. Have a wonderful weekend.